morning, Salem South Lyon patrons. We're out on my front porch today to talk about saving geraniums from one year to the next in 3 different ways. It's a little experiment I started last fall when the season ended. I chose to store geraniums in 3 different ways. I'll detail them for you today, and you can see which ones you think would work for you or which one you think is most successful. The first method I used was I did what I have done in the past, which is I cut back the geraniums. I left them in the pot, cut them back a little bit, and then brought them in the house, put them in a warm sunny window, and nursed them through the winter. What's interesting is they look pretty leggy and sparse during the worst of the winter, but as soon as the days start to get longer, they start to leaf up and actually even begin to bloom. Kind of a nice pop of green and red through the winter to have, but you need the sunny window and it takes space. As you can see in that photograph, it has leafed out, it's blooming again, it's nice and bright green. I brought it out onto the porch only in the daytimes because we have had some frost this week, and kept it watered, and I did give it a little bit of fish emulsion fertilizer, so it's ready to go. The second method I tried was I took a pot of geraniums that I had, 4 different geraniums in a big pot, and I moved it to my garage. I kind of trimmed it back to make it smaller, and I put it in the garage. Our garage is insulated, and so the temperatures will dip into the upper 30s, but typically never below that, and most of the time not below the 40s. There's no auxiliary light in there, you know, like it's not by a window. It just sat in the garage, in the pot. I did not water it, I did not fertilize it, I just let it sit through the entire winter. Along about the beginning to middle of April, I brought it up on the front porch and started to water it. I left it out there, I did not bring it in the house, I didn't warm it up, I just let it sit on the porch and started to water it. As you saw in that photograph, it's starting to get some little green leaves. It's pretty small. It's not anywhere near as full as the one that wintered in the house. But it's also ready to go. I can put it out there, and it has tolerated the weather well. So I imagine as the temperatures start to warm, it's going to really take off. And the last method that I tried was one that I had read about but didn't know anyone who had tried, and never had tried it myself, but I thought I'd give it a try. I took the remaining geraniums that I had outdoors, I pulled them out of their pots or the ground wherever they happened to be. I put them in a brown paper bag with the roots facing up, and I stored them in my basement all winter long. I did nothing to them during that time. Along about the beginning of, more like the middle of April, I went ahead and pulled them out of the bag. I put them in containers of water to soak and just left them there. I didn't see it do really anything for a good week, but after a week, I started to notice little green leaves starting to come. I will show you a photo next of some geraniums that have been sitting in water for about a week, and you can see the little green shoots starting. In that photo, you could see that there's little tiny bits of green starting on those plants. And I will leave them in the water for probably another week or so. After that length of time, what you'll notice is the leaves will get bigger and they'll get much greener. At which point I will transfer them to a small pot of potting soil and get them in some bright light and let them really take off. So here's a photo of what they look like after they've been in bright light and potted up for, these have been potted for probably a week and a half to 2 weeks and in nice bright light. These are really ready to start hardening off and put in the ground. In conclusion, I would say the experiment was successful on all three fronts. Every single method worked, and I ended up with a geranium to have for the following season. By far, the simplest and quickest to success was taking the plants, putting them in the brown paper bag, and storing them in the basement for the winter. But either way, whatever method you choose, you can save your geraniums from one year to the next. Happy gardening!